Shalom, people. This is Brother Lyles coming at you with another video, and I think that there is hope for us as Black people, as Hebrew people, as far as it pertains to us being caught up in these political parties. And I'm gonna tell you why. We just got through, of course, with the November 11th elections for congressional and Senate and some state offices. And although, looking at the fact that the Republican Party didn't uh, have tremendous victory all across the spectrum like they thought they would, yet I still believe that the Democrats didn't quite get the turnout that they thought they would. I think they thought that they would survive, and they did a little bit. They actually probably did a little bit better than survive, but they still know that they can see a measurable decline in the Black vote, even though like they said, hey, they avoided a swing a swing blade, that pendulum going back and forth. They avoided it this time, but they still understand that there was a decline, and that's all it takes is a slight decline, and I can feel it in the enthusiasm of Blacks getting out there and voting. Meaning, some did vote, but they didn't have the enthusiasm that they had for when Biden was in office and he had told them, all this stuff about, the CV is going to end. I'm going to end police brutality or whatever. I think that the Blacks that did go in and vote Democrat, they kind of held their nose and voted and then just moved on, just as a protest against what the Republicans were doing, and then some just stayed away and just blocked it out their mind. So that's where I want to talk about that measurable. And when I read you this article, you're gonna see what I mean. It was a slight, but it's enough, I believe, to show them, right. Even though they're saying, oh, we beat all odds. The Republicans thought they were gonna sweep us. Yet they know that there was a slight decline in enough that in some of these runoffs that they're having to do, that they're not quite sure, like down in Georgia, if they're going to win that Raphael Warnock runoff. Let me read this article, and we'll continue on with my thoughts on this. It gives me great hope, like I said, that our people are waking up. And this article, by the way, is coming from the Washington Post, and it reads, racial breakdowns for midterm elections expose shifting electorate. And this is by Savinia Foster Font and Sabrina Rodriguez. It said white voters remain a key demographic for the Republican Party, but voters of color showed some decline in Democrat support. Democrats celebrated a better than expected performance in the midterm elections this week, blunting Republican efforts to gain ground in Congress and across the country. But their relief masks a continued problem. The party still has work to do to shore up its diverse voter base, which is us. They see that we are losing interest. Let me continue. So the red wave pundits predicted did not materialize, but support for Democrats slipped. Let me say this again. But support for Democrats slipped across the board, including among voters of color, integral to the party's political future. While more than 8 in 10 Black voters supported Democrats for Congress, their level of support fell between 4 and 70% points during the midterm compared with 2018, according to network exit polling and the AP vote cast poll, respectively. I'm going to end right there with the article because that's the key point that I want you to see. They noticed a slight downcline. And how many of you know that it's the little foxes that spoil the vines? That they understand that the understanding of black people in their mind is that they're not getting anything for their vote, and that the ones that will continue to vote understand that until something better comes along, they're going to have to suffer through these elections, not having the enthusiasm like they understood. They kind of was fooled because of the increase of understanding of knowledge of when, not just from what they see on TV, but just what they can see with their eyes in their own neighborhoods, the increased crime, the increased cost of food, the increased drumbeats of war across the globe involving the United States, the increased what can I say about Haiti and other countries in the Caribbean and other places where America is going in and basically trying to fearmonger these countries into remaining third world backwater countries because they're fearful that China is lending them all of this money, and then China is going to cause them to default and take over their countries, even though America themselves will not come in and do investments in anything that will pull these nations out of this, but yet they want them to be supportive of them with Russia, against Russia and all these things, that our people are starting to look at these things and saying, hey, some people are black like us. And not only are they not treating us right, but they're treating them bad too. And these are the people that we say elected us. I think that thing that happened on the bridge in Texas really opened up a lot of people's eyes, although I don't understand why, because I can remember going back into the 80s with the Haitian boat people, the reports, and some people say that there was rumors, and I've had people that were in the Coast Guard that got mad at me when I told them I used to hear about the Coast Guard shooting doing rafts and stuff on the boats and letting the raft sink and people fall into the Atlantic Ocean and stuff like that, and some of them got mad. But they've been doing this, and I think looking at this and then looking at the things that happen with the LA City Council, with what some of the Hispanic community was saying about that, and who by the way are Democrats. Our people are starting to understand that we have not, and we still will not get what we deserve with the vote that we give toward the Democratic Party. Therefore, I think the slight downturn, as they was able to measure it, is enough, I believe, to let me know that some of our people are waking up. I wasn't thinking that there would be a mass exodus of our people from the Democratic Party as far as it was in voting, but I do believe that it's some of our people who are eyeing other methods and other means to try to get ahead. Unfortunately, while we're still here in Babylon, right, we still, although we have many mayors and councilmen and other people that are black, we still are not running the power structure. We might be in place as figureheads, but the ones that's pulling the key things, which I think a lot of people are coming to understand, is not even the politicians. It's not the federal or the state government. It is the corporations. The corporations and the banks are running everything. When you think about, it's a book called Babylonian Woe. It's an audio book. I listened to it some years ago, and it talked about how this thing of paper currency and the chit and all these things came about, with the with a bank holding your money, and you getting a promissory note that you go to another bank and cash in and get your gold. How all this thing came and how it brought this system here, and how the government, right, in itself went to these banks and went to these corporations, and therefore, in order to get into the positions of power in the electric, they would go to the corporations. They would go to the banks for the investment in their election to get these certain political parties. And this has gone all the way back, going in time immemorial, when it came time for someone to elect a governor or a Caesar or something, that it was always the money. Okay, say, oh, we want you to be emperor, therefore we're going to pay off enough of the army that's going to support you. And when you do this coup against the Caesar, then we'll put you in. And once you get in, then you do favorable to our you do favorable to our little enterprise. And so it is with politics today, that whether it's Democrat or Republican, when you look at it, it is the corporations. When you even look at the Virginia company that founded this country, right? It was indeed the Queen who represent a Queen of England that represent the England, but she was also part of the Virginia company. So she was a investor. She was part of the government. She was head of the government, but she was also an investor. Therefore, when, America supposedly kicked her, it wasn't a queen at that time. It was king. It was King George. But later on, we know the kings came. But let's just say King George was part of that Virginia company. And because of this, right, later on, when they supposedly beat Britain, which they didn't beat Britain, what happened was Britain just didn't want to borrow any more money from the bankers and the corporations to continue to fight here in America, because they had so many other wars that they was fighting in. They decided, okay, we're going to take our physical troops off of this land, but you still got to pay us the money. You still got to pay the Virginia company, which was made up of the monarchy. And we know when they did not pay that money, the British, that monarchy that was part of that Virginia company, sent those troops back into America in the War of 1812, right? And burnt Washington, D.C. down. The British did indeed leave, but America promptly started those payments back up to the Virginia company, which was really to the British government and those monarch heads and all those other political people that had put money in the Virginia company. And so it has been with politics. The only difference is they can't, at least here in America, they didn't want to have a monarchy anyway. They wanted to have political parties. They wanted to give the appearance of power, that you could put your power in this one group of politicians, and you could put and then they would just duke it out. But both sides are getting money from the same banks. So the outcome for both sides is not going to be good. And therefore, I think as Black people, as Hebrew people in this nation, we come to understand, some of us later than never, that it's so much the political party that we're going to execute anything, because we still have faith and trust in Yah, but we do still move here horizontally among men, even as Ezra and Nehemiah moved amongst the monarchy of the Persians, and the Most High moved upon their heart to go to those that were in charge of this horizontal plane, and to petition them to get what they needed to be able to go back to Jerusalem and rebuild it. Not that we believe that these people are going to do anything of their own, but that we believe that the Most High working through us and working through the things that we say and do, will move on either someone in this government or someone in the corporations that will say, you know what, we got to go ahead and do right toward these people and give the people what they want because their arms is bent. That's therefore you see this thing with what's going on with Kyrie Irving. You see this thing that's getting ready to probably happen with Kanye West also, where the corporations are going to step in and they're going to do just like what I stated I believe that they was going to do. They're going to reinstate them, not because I believe that they are of goodwill, but because just like I stated in some videos ago, that the Bible said that he would give us favor amongst the Egyptians. Some of them, not all of them, that they would give us favor amongst them, and that we would spoil them. So what I would say, even though again, like I said, I'm hoping people don't fall to believe that either one of these two gentlemen, right, just like the Republican or the Democratic Party, they don't look to them as either one of them to be their savior, but that they, whatever they can get out of them right now, get out of them and keep it moving, right? You that came in and you voted these Democrats back in or voted them in new, then you need to go to them this time and get what you can get, right? And that's, ask the Most High to help us to get ready to get up out of here in a few years, or at least 10, to get up out of here, that we get what we can get, that these basketball players get what they can get, all these get what you can get out of the Egyptians, and that's move on, right? Because I think the move by some about them telling them about reparations and all these different things, I think that after the new people are sworn in January, or even before, that we need to get back on the bandwagon, because in that report I just read out of the Washington Post, he said that they losing support amongst people of color. That's us. That even though we might not believe that they're gonna move right now, we still need to get on the pace of continuing to talk about reparations, right? And especially those of you who are in Georgia, right? And get behind it and state, hey, you know what? Warnock can come or he can go. Which one is it going to be? That if he going to talk to us, he only got a few weeks to talk to us about what plan he has to put forth reparations, to put forth some help for the Atlanta area when it comes to the crime that's going on down there, that comes in form of stopping that gentrification that's going on in a so-called chocolate city. That he needs to do something. That if y'all just want to swing toward the Republican party, but that you would go to Herschel Walker and tell him the vice versa thing, if that's what you want to do, and tell him, right, it's enough of this pretending, right, that you colorblind or whatever, but that you got to understand that what your people are going through, and that you probably might need some of us to cross across the aisle to get you the votes that you need to get into the Senate, right? And but if you did, right, but that ought to be honest with Herschel Walker. I think Herschel Walker is, I definitely would not trust anything that either one of them said. But I don't think I would trust anything that Herschel Walker said. So I don't think none of really the Republicans would be a good, if you want to use the word bet, to try to get them to, agree to anything like that, right? I don't know. I still would use that threat of voting for Herschel Walker against the Democrat Party if they did not say that when they got reinstated in January that they would at least put forth the idea of local reparations, maybe not national, but again, that I believe that the Most High is twisting the arm of some of these people that they got to do this. And that, like I said, Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, even though, like I said, I'm thinking that both of them was dealing with contract issues, why they did what they did, although they probably might have some leanings a little bit toward that. But I think that, again, okay, let them get their money or whatever. But we are living in that time where the restitution of all things is at hand. So, that's let the Most High, you know, touch the hearts of the Egyptians. That's get what we can get, and that's go home. So with that, I want to ask you to give this video a thumbs up. I want you to leave a comment, and I want you to subscribe. Be blessed.